Welcome to today's Kipcon Minute. As we're all digesting the tragedy that happened in Florida last week with the high-rise condominium, we're all searching for what do we do next with the existing buildings that we have. Last week, I gave a short minute on what do we do, part one, and today I'm going to spend another minute or so on what do we do, part two. The reason for this is there are so many different perspectives that are being taken on this tragedy and how to avoid it. There were a few things I needed to clear up based on what I'm reading in the paper. And one of the things is that they seem to be presenting that if you have reserve studies done, that you'll be able to alleviate problems such as what happened last week. So the question becomes, will the reserve study solve the problem? And the answer to that is resounding no. And there needs to be an understanding of what a reserve study is and what's included. The definition of a reserve study from the National Reserve Study Standards is that it's a budget planning tool. A budget planning tool, keep that in mind. And it identifies the components that the association is responsible to maintain or replace. So it's a budget planning tool. What is included? How do you select what's included on the reserve study? There's a four-part test. It's the association's responsibility. So typically that means it's a common element. It has a limited useful life expectancy. So let's say a life expectancy of 30 years, 35 years. Predictable remaining useful life, which means that by looking at it, you can see about how many years are left before it'll have to be replaced. And keep in mind, it's a cyclical replacement. It's not something that's anticipated to happen once and that's it. And there's a minimum threshold cost, so there's an actual cost to do the work. So what is not included? It doesn't include maintenance. It doesn't include a review of the components of the building for structural adequacy, and it does not include the replacement of the building structure. Very important to remember that, because what's saying in the press, what it says in the press seems to imply that a reserve study will take care of what happened. So what do? You inspect on an ongoing basis, you maintain, and the last is the most important, you act on what you see. So of course it's too much for 1 minute, but there are a number of different types of maintenance that must be employed, which include ongoing inspections. There's preventive, breakdown maintenance, emergency maintenance, and corrective maintenance. So in order to go into this in much greater detail, we're going to be putting on a webinar next Wednesday, July 14th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to be making recommendations in regards to what can community associations do to make sure that they do have appropriate reserves, they do maintenance, and they do ongoing inspections, and how to put together a plan for your building. So thank you very much for listening. Be safe, and we'll be sending out an invite for this webinar soon. Thanks and have a great day.